Where is my chat gone? Oh, there it is. Another day, another live stream. Another weekend thing. Should be around evening time in the States. Hey Hayden, how's it going? Yes, you're first. Hey Mighty Moose. Hey Stanchskate. You'll have to forgive me if my face is not responding correctly at the moment. It's a lot more swollen than it appears on camera. Also hurts to smile. But fear not, I've got some dental appointments coming up very soon to help fix my face. Hey, Mr. Bullock Fireman. Hey, Starstrike. Hey, James. Hey, Morg. How's it going? So today I'm going to be talking about the upcoming 5th edition revised D&D 24, as they're calling it, or whatever. Yeah, it should be, I mean, basically you just got to fork out enough money and they'll sort it out for you. Yeah. I've had this hat for a long time. Hey, Christian. Hey, David. So yeah, we've seen artwork reveals. We've seen snippets from YouTubers who've been approached by Wizard of the Coast. I, of course, have not been approached by Wizard of the Coast. A, because I'm not American or Canadian, and B, because I'm vocally, like, I don't like Wizard of the Coast, and I'm probably responsible for most of their people getting fired. Hey, good evening, Ben. Oh, hey, good Zooks. Nice to see you. Yeah, so they don't expect any like sneak previews from me. Plus, that's not really what I do on my channel. I don't do D&D news and stuff. So all I can say is that, as always, I will always switch to the new edition, the latest edition of D&D. I always have, and I always will. So I played all the way through 4th edition. So, you know, if you didn't, then don't at me, because yeah. It finally sent you a new notification. Nice. That's good. You've mostly moved on from D&D? Yeah, a lot of people have. I'm of the realistic opinion that the silent majority of people will switch over to the new stuff fairly smoothly. I don't think the opposition to it is going to be as huge as people think. Like, there's a lot of very vocal people who are anti-5e online. But even those people, in the privacy of their own offline habits, don't do what they say they're going to do online. Like, we saw that with the boycott of Wizard of the Coast and various other things. There's a lot of very vocal people, but like they're only vocal for like 1 or 2 news cycles, and then they forget. Like, they then switch to, oh, it's cringe to be anti something, you know. So it's like, while there's social credit, they will be very vocal on the side of the majority of people who are making noise to get, you know, to up their social score sort of thing, but they don't actually back that up at all. So it's completely disingenuous and, you know, kind of sickening. So yeah. Hey, cheer, Tony. All is not well, but I'm getting it sorted out. Cleverly disguised potatoes. Hey, Comic Nut. Hey, thanks, man. Always happy to have you for even a small time. Yeah, so I am optimistic about the new edition. I've predicted earlier on, years ago, probably if you go back and look at my live streams, you'll see me mention it, that my prediction was towards the end of 5th edition, we will see a consolidation of the rules into a 5th edition rules cyclopedia. This is exactly what they're doing. They're not really reinventing 5th edition. They're just adjusting it to what the current climate is. Like we see already on D&D Beyond, they've got like legacy monsters and they've got the new updated format monsters, and there's really not a lot of difference. They might get rid of a couple of keywords here and there, but it's really just adjusting format. And there are people who say, oh, you know, it's not backwards compatible. It is really. I mean, like with the tools that we have available, every edition is backwards compatible. You can just modify things very quickly and very easily using ChatGPT and stuff like that. Although I don't recommend using ChatGPT for anything seriously writing related or creativity related, but it's okay for converting like challenge ratings and stuff like that, particularly if you feed the information that you want into it already, like feed in like the old edition versions of the stats for a creature and then say convert this to a CR6 or whatever. And if you really want to be specific, type in your like copy and paste in your own CR chart, your own adjusted one, because the one in the original DMG is not fit for purpose. Hey, thanks, Chair Tony. Thanks for gifting some memberships. 5 memberships. Wow. Way to go. So yeah, like they're not really, what was I saying? That just totally derailed me. So the adaptations and updates they're making are not like reinventing the wheel. And yeah, and the challenge rating and stuff in the Dungeon Master's Guide has always been wrong and needed adjustment. So that's the opportunity to do that. And before we get into the mainstay of changes, which is going to happen in the hobby, from Wizards of the Coast, they're going more digital, as we know. They need to adjust and basically blandify 5th edition and make it like just iron out all the bumps, and then they can present it as a vehicle that they can put G.I. Joe and Transformers and Barbie and My Little Pony and Nerf somehow, all that sort of all their other IPs to get converted into that. Because at the moment we can see what they're doing with like Magic the Gathering has always been a very good litmus test for what's happening in the mindset of Wizards of the Coast. So we see all of these increased amount of output that you have to buy to remain relevant in the card game. The card game has gone away from physical, and now it's almost entirely digital. In fact, they have formats which are impossible to play in using real cards. It has to be digital. So, and they're earning loads more money through digital stuff than they are through selling cards, I can guarantee you, because they don't have the sunk cost of producing the physical cards and transporting the cards and storing the cards and stuff. There's also fewer and fewer retailers who are open to sell the cards. So if you were looking for your local game store, they're either entirely like collectible card game stuff, very few role-playing products left, or they will be alternate, things, or they'll sell something else as well as that. But there's no like brick and mortar RPG shops anymore, really, as far as I know. Hey, thanks, Ben. Good to see you back live again. Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be back to my usual production schedule as well. Like, we've seen a lot more videos from me this month, and that's going to continue. Yeah. Hopefully. There may be some weird audio. Like, remember when I did the AI audio thingy and I was saying, in the future I might have to do it because of health problems? Well, getting all my teeth ripped out is certainly going to affect the audio. So please forgive me if I have to use another person speaking or something like that, just for a short amount of time while my teeth are healing. Hey, Nick. Always wanted to go start a miniature terrain shop. Yeah, wouldn't that be the dream? Not the teeth. I get you. I can read typo. Universes beyond. Ha! Yeah. You just like the changes to monsters like rot grubs. They can kill you by burrowing into your heart, but the newer ones only do poison damage to you. Yeah, well, I mean, anybody who's played, like, if you've gone back and played all the old editions, like we're playing D&D Basic at the moment, and it's a real eye-opener for the people who are playing it. It's like we have to roll initiative at the start of every round, and like other little things like, Thaco and stuff like that. And just the restrictions, like my spellcaster's got how many spells? It's like, why would I even play a spellcaster if I've got like 2 spells and then I'm out? Then I'm basically just a bad rogue. It's like, yeah. So all of the old editions and every new edition, there's been a paring back of restrictions, unnecessary restrictions and things like that to what your character can do. And a lot of the old gamers complain that the new edition of D&D is all very player-centric and it's really hard for DMs and stuff to adapt and stuff like that. Well, that's why we're getting a new Dungeon Master's Guide. That's why we're getting a new Player's Handbook and things like that. And you can tell by certain aspects of the artwork and things like that, that is the mentality of gamers these days. the climate that they're producing this game for, the majority of players have played 5th edition and nothing else. The majority of them have. And so from a business point of view, from a writer's and creator's point of view, from the game designer's point of view, you cater to the major audience. And they're really interested in character backstories, character agency, having a well-rounded character that is a personification of what they want. So they're less likely to just auto-generate a character and step into a game and then just sort of wing it from there. Characters are a lot more complex these days. There's a lot more going on, even from first level. Quite often, players will start at 3rd or 5th level. And so they've streamlined a lot of the early character creation stuff. And yeah, they don't have really a robust character builder to the extent that that 4th edition had. Or there's no DM tools like 4th edition had. Certainly, there's no encounter builders and things like that. But there certainly will be. And moving into this new digital age, I hate to sound sort of apologetic for 5th edition before it's arrived, but I'm just an optimistic person, and I want to share that there's other optimistic people who have been through the whole OGL ringer, who have gone through that whole trauma, but now most of the staff that were involved in that are gone. They all got fired. So I'm like thinking, okay, new Wizards of the Coast, with all your new bums on seats and hopefully a lot more, like maybe it's changed the culture in the company a little bit. There's still a closed door. There's still a siloed company. They've got 100 years of just fetid, disgusting corporate history seeping into them like sewage from every angle. But maybe, just maybe, for a short window of time, we'll have the enthusiasm of those creators before they realize what a shit situation they've landed themselves in. I'm optimistic that what is being produced now is going to be okay. As far as I can see, there's no playtesting going on. The feedback and stuff for their playtests, I haven't heard anything about that because I guess I just stopped paying attention to it. And really, it was not the same experience of going from 4th edition to 5th edition and playing through D&D Next. Like, I still have my little handbook of all the D&D Next stuff somewhere. I should take better care of it, actually, because I don't think there's many collections of the original 5th edition rules before they publish them anywhere. So I'll hang on to that, maybe put it in a nice little archive somewhere. But yeah, the playtest experience, the feedback experience for going from 5th edition to 5R, as I call it, is not the same. It's entirely like they're saying that it's the same, but there's no way is it the same, and it's clear that any sort of suggestions and stuff like that are just like they're just gauging what they can get away with, sort of thing. Any chance of more Palladium stuff coming up? Yep, James, there is. It will probably start off as like Patreon exclusive videos, and then I'll release them later on. There's going to be a lot of that. There's a new podcast. I was going to get to this in a minute, but there's a new podcast. The first episode is up on Patreon right now, or for a members only post. You got to be like a bronze or a gold dragon membership on my channel to get access to it. So there's a bit more exclusive content which is coming your way. So the podcasts we record them every Sunday, and they'll be uploaded to Patreon pretty much straight away, and then we'll get like 3 or 4 episodes under our belt, and then I'll start releasing them to other, like just the general public. And each podcast that we do is me and this guy Nacho, 2 Kiwis, very similar in age and temperament. We get along like a house on fire, and we decided, like, why don't we just, like, we're very positive geeks, right? So we're very, very, we see the glass half full sort of situation. And we want to share our love of various aspects of the hobby and just geekdom in general. Like, our first episode is talking about our love of Judge Dredd and the 2000 AD comic and how that influenced our lives. And a lot of, I think, younger people have seen like the Judge Dredd movies and stuff, but they've never read the Judge Dredd comics, and they have no idea how pivotal 2000 AD comic was back in like Thatcher Britain, and how punk rock Judge Dredd actually is. You wouldn't think so, being an ultra-fascist lawman of the future, but he's actually a really, really, like, it's a really punk satire vehicle that was very, very much needed in England back when that was, back in the 1980s and 70s sort of thing, because it was a really, really oppressive society, like really, really dour, horrible. So yeah, 2000 AD was just like, Brah! And when you compare that to the other contemporary comics that were around from America, who were just coming out of the Comic Code Authority restrictions and stuff, like there's no comparison between like a Marvel comic and a 2000 AD comic. That one is just like, here's some superheroes and stuff, and maybe some fisticuffs and things, but there's no blood, there's no gore or anything like that. And then you go to 2000 AD and it's just like Mortal Kombat video game levels of gore. Just, yeah, anything goes. There was very little restriction in there whatsoever. About the only thing they didn't have was a lot of sex, just because that wasn't really their market. Seems popular in the UK. He's a UK icon. Like, they should be statues. Yeah, Rogue Trooper, Sam Slade Robo Hunter, Nemesis Warlock, Strontium Dog. So many really good titles came out of that. Yeah. And of course, the Carl Urban movie is much more accurate depiction of Judge Dredd from the very first, like, you could say that the first issue, which is the second magazine of where Judge Dredd appears in 1999. 1999, New York section of Mega City 1 is where he starts, and that is very much put Carl Urban, bink, like that's the start of his career. And then the Dredd movie would be later on in his career sort of thing, where it's more sort of old man. But unfortunately, Stallone just did not understand. Like, he was just so egotistical that it was a Stallone movie, and he just basically used Judge Dredd as a vehicle, which was entirely not what it was about. Like, Judge Dredd was the original Mandalorian, never takes his helmet off, strict code of conduct, and kind of a heartless, merciless dude. With a formidable reputation. So he was the Mandalorian before the Mandalorian sort of thing, or contemporary with Mandalorians, 1970s. Yeah, Star Wars, around about the same time. Hey, Moonthirst. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, 2000 AD is not PC. Yeah. Hey, it's Post-Apocalyptic News Radio. Welcome back. Little things like Thaco, kind of an understatement. Well, Thaco's not really that difficult in practice, because every character sheet has got the Thaco chart on it. So all you're doing is comparing your number versus the number. Like, you'd never actually work it out in your head in the game, in practice. So, yeah. But yeah, Thaco is a pain in the ass, because it's like you have to check that thing every time. Thanks, Dangerskate. Would you do Rifts Australia? I think New Zealand law is in the Lemuria book. Yeah, New Zealand kind of got shafted in Rifts, but that's understandable. I mean, we got to mention we left off a lot of atlases of the world around the world. It's always funny. Kiwis, when they travel, look at atlases and go, "Is my country there?" Quite often, it's not. It's hilarious. Got to do your homework though. Yeah. Deem's math Thaco was good. I rolled a 35. No, you rolled a 12 and added too much to have a reasonable difficulty. Yeah. Yeah, people make a big deal about Thaco. It's really not that difficult. What's more difficult in D&D Basic is that the weapon damages are different. You don't get, like, dexterity bonuses. There's lots of little things that are just, like, seem to make a lot more sense in later editions, which just got, like, yeah, there's unnecessary stuff in D&D Basic, because there was a lot of unnecessary stuff in AD&D as well. I mean, I played all these games, so I'm not, like, talking from my ass here. I have personal experience about that. Mind you, I didn't DM AD&D. I was just a player in that. I was a DM of Rifts and Heroes Unlimited and Toon and Traveller and various other games. Car Wars, things like that. My country is the center of the world. USA, USA. Haha. Yeah, well. Maybe get a minimum wage and stop forcing people to tip everyone. And I'll start paying some respect. I hate to say that I live in a superior culture. But as far as that is concerned, it was just on Twitter before I was responding to that. I thought, the Americans aren't going to be happy if I point out that tipping's, like, entirely avoidable. Just, yeah. Bring back cantrip color. Yeah, cantrips are great. Cantrips and the clerics have got orisons, which are the cleric cantrips. Car Wars, was certainly before Twisted Metal. That's from Steve Jackson, not English Steve Jackson, entirely different kettle of fish, but the American Steve Jackson, who produced a lot of very cool games. His idea was to make mini games, basically like one-page RPGs, where everything you needed was like in a little plastic baggie that could be put on shop shelves next to novels. So his idea was like, there's a space there that we can put a product, and we need to make it simple and quick and something you can just buy, and everything you need is in there and you can just play. Car Wars was one of those games. Ogre, the game where you're playing a big tank against lots of other tanks, was one of those games. Later on, they got expanded into box sets and, all the things and stuff, but they started out as those little unsuccessful baggy RPG things, which I think would probably do pretty well today. You kind of agree. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Rifts Australia, funnily enough, I know the guy, at the time, I was very heavily involved with like the message boards and stuff like that. And I talked to a lot of the authors and stuff of these books and stuff. So Rifts Australia was originally like 3 books they got 1. And so a lot of really cool stuff in Rifts Australia just got cut on the editing room floor. And then of course, Kevin Simbita, whenever he touches anything with his editing stick, he will then put his name on the title because he's an egotistical prick. What can I say? He also says a lot that he doesn't do and is responsible for one of the most disastrous Kickstarters in gaming history. But he's kind of retired, which is good. And now we've got new people who are starting to like take over Palladium, and we've got the Savage World version of Rifts, which is a different rule system, which a lot of people are quite There you go. Sandscape saying, I'm loving Savage Rifts right now. Yeah, so the Savage Worlds version of Rifts, they call it Savage Rifts, and that's an alternate rule set. So if you ever wanted to check out the setting and stuff, but hated the old Palladium setting, this rule system. And remember, that rule system came out very early on. It pretty much was not that long after AD&D and stuff were published. And all of the modern sort of innovations and stuff that we have in gaming just weren't around. So it's based on what everybody was playing. There's that whole idea of like, you don't want to be too different from the norm, otherwise people won't uptake the thing. So this was just different enough from D&D to be interesting. And what's more, he developed a universal rule system, which unfortunately has its own drawbacks. If you develop a universal rule system and then have lots and lots of supplements that you bring out and all this information and stuff, and then the rule system is scattered all through it, if you want to adjust or update that rule system, you have to update and reprint every single title that's included with it, which in the case of a little indie company like Palladium, they could never afford to do. These days, if everything was just PDFs and stuff, they could. So we're looking at a Wizards of the Coast, which if everything goes digital, then they've got the capacity to change and update and modify those game sources, those source books and stuff. Print, unfortunately, they will never do that with, but we're already seeing that they're getting people used to the idea by these artificial controversies that they put into the printed products, that they immediately update the PDF, because they're drumming it into your brain that the PDF is superior. The print product's bad. Oh, no, we can't adjust the print products. It's dead. It's like bad. PDFs are much better because they can do ChatGPT and artificial artwork and all that sort of stuff and just like cut down their workforce, cut down their outlay, no printing costs, no distribution costs, not having to deal with retailers. They can just sell directly to you at a hugely increased profit, and profit is all that they're interested in. So it's inexorable. There's nothing you can do about it. There are clear reasons why they're doing this. And like bitching and complaining about it and going to another company, the other company is just going to follow suit. They're all going to do the same thing because that's just the world that we're going to be living in. Hey, thanks, Moonthirst. Are you a fan of a short film? And if so, which one would you like to see as a full length? One of mine is Sintel from Blender Studio, made 10 years ago. That's a very specific thing. A short film that would be better full length. Man, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of. We've been watching Outer Limits on the. By the way, I should really plug the Discord server. So my Discord server is where I hang out most of the time, and where you've got a good chance of talking to me day to day and asking me questions. I'm always generally active on the Discord server, and a lot of the benefits of being a member of the Patreon or a member of the channel is that you get access to the Gluminati section of the Discord server, which the other like free people don't get to see. That's where I put like updating like this video is coming up, or I get suggestions from people that I put into work straight away. Like the Oceanus Dragon was a Patreon request, for instance, and so I get so few Patreon requests. So I was like, right, and I got onto it straight away and produced this video that like I was quite proud of. It's not just the Oceanus Dragon; it's also the ecology and talking about Oceanus and like Fey creatures and stuff that you find there, because Fey and Celestial are quite closely aligned in the upper planes. So yeah, and also on the Discord channel, we have Sticky TV. So we will stream shows and movies and stuff, usually when me or Dorse are kind of hanging out and just like, or we'll be playing Magic the Gathering against each other or something like that. So we're usually generally very active there. And that's a good place to like hang out and watch the sort of shows and stuff. And on Moonthirst, on your topic there, The Outer Limits has got a lot of stories in there which could be fleshed out into a full movie, I think. But generally speaking, like X-Files and TV shows generally have like, The Outer Limits is very much, they are short stories. They're written like short stories. They feel like short stories. Short stories have got that specific kind of writing style where they'll put something in there and they won't give you an explanation. It's just like, assume that it's a sci-fi show, so assume this is real. Like, assume that this microchip is integrated for the human brain. We don't need to explain it overly much. So it's like shorthand, quick and punchy, but those things can be expanded into full-on movies or TV shows and things like that. There's a lot less short format TV streaming stuff these days because they can do long format like Netflix shows. Like, people are used to binge watching stuff. And I think that we may lose the art of the short story, which could be tragic. Because so many really good movie concepts come from short stories. Like a lot of the sort of robot movies and things like that came from short stories by sci-fi authors back in the 50s and 60s. So really dated, and, you know. Also in the podcast, we were talking about how 2000 AD has so many famous people who cut their teeth on it, like Neil Gaiman and Miller, for instance, who did like all those graphic novels with Batman and stuff like that, and The Watchmen. He started on 2000 AD. Ed Sapp, I get asked that quite a lot. Saw you ate some cheese. Yeah, not eating so much cheese at the moment. I don't remember my first characters. I remember playing, right, if you ask me what my first character was, it was a solo game of D&D Basic when I was running through, you know, Kilbargle. So my first character was that, you know. The first character that I remember a pivotal moment was that we were playing a D&D game, and my character had a polearm, a Bardici, and I missed with a critical attack in a corridor and hit another player character who was a assassin thief character who had very few hit points and was lucky not to die. And that was why I remember that character. That's all I remember about them. That they had a Bardiche, and that the DM at the time didn't have a very good grasp on summoning rules with demons. And we ended up fighting so many demons that kept on gating in more and more demons that catered in more demons, and it was just getting out of hand. So I had a very false impression of how dangerous demons were for years because of that. Really, I should have been more scared of vampires. Vampires are much worse. Night Gallery was a good show. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a replacement for... Well, we do. We've got the new Twilight Zone with that guy from Keenan Peele, which were quite good, really good. Some of them, they're usually hit and miss, but most of those were hits. We had The Outer Limits, which was an alternative to the Twilight Zone. But, I mean, you're never going to get another Rod Sterling. That guy was just, he's a phenomenon. That turning key. You did a paper on railguns in school in 1993. My teacher was very interested after he read my paper. Yeah, I got approached. I was doing some fan writing of nanotech on my Manastic Imperium Rifts page. Back when I used to make websites. Back when everybody used to make websites with tons and tons of animated GIFs. Oh, those were the days. Black screen and white text everywhere. Yeah, and I was talking about how you would engineer a nanomachine, and it was basically a little metal cube with magnets on the inside that move around like the BB-8 sort of thing. So all the mechanisms are internal, and unfortunately, I didn't factor in the Casimir effect. Was it the Casimir effect? Yeah, the Casimir effect, which causes stickiness at microscopic scales. At nanoscales, surfaces tend to flexible surfaces tend to attract each other because, in a nutshell, there's more frequencies of electromagnetic radiation on the outside of that gap than there are on the inside, because the wavelengths are only so big. So there's less of them that can fit in there, more of them on the outside. So that causes a cosmic pressure which pushes them together. And that cosmic pressure is everywhere in the universe. So if you create a great big set of plates that are very close together, you can actually generate free energy from that pressure which is pushing them together. That's called the Casimir effect. And it becomes very important in nanoscale engineering and circuit design because of that effect. It's very important to nanomachines. So anyway, I got approached by this magazine who were like, do you want to write an article on nanomachines? And I was like, I'm not a nanomachine engineer. It turns out there wasn't any nanomachine engineers. There was just people with concepts. And that was a very good concept, apparently. But I was so freaked out. I was like, no. I'm just a role player. I don't want to be in any sort of journal. Hi AJ. Hey Alex. What are some mechanics in TTRPGs you played that you liked, which D&D or Pathfinder never adopted? First of all, I own the Pathfinder 2nd edition book, but I don't generally play it unless I'm at a convention and it's the only game going. I'm of the opinion that if there's a role-playing game going and I'm just sort of standing around doing nothing, I will learn a new game and sit down and play. I'm not really that fussy, but I just don't generally play or run Pathfinder because it's like I didn't join the whole bandwagon of people joining Pathfinder. I was a 4th edition player. So Pathfinder has always seemed very derivative to me. And I don't cover the lore on my channel because of that, because it'd be like, here's a dragon, here's an alternate Pathfinder version of the same dragon. It's like, no, very confusing. So a lot of stuff from third party would be really like, I would wish that Wizards of the Coast would look at all of the third-party 5th edition source books and stuff that have been brought out, particularly the Stargate SG-1 source book, which has got a lot of the non-combat role-playing sort of mechanics and stuff that you want in the new edition of 5th edition, which probably aren't going to be there. But you see things like that in the new DC-20 Kickstarter thing that's coming out and has proven to be massively popular. The game definitely needs stuff like that. They also have a mechanic for changing the difficulty of the entire adventure. So this is important if you're running an episodic game, which is more like a TV show. So sometimes you have light, sort of character-driven stories that aren't pivotal or climactic, end scenario sort of things. And sometimes you want to ramp up the difficulty so that there's a stronger chance that characters could die, which would be an end of season finale or something like that. Like a character will die this episode. It's a big thing. So in Stargate, you've got the capacity to just alter one thing and it changes the challenge rating of the entire session, which is a really, really good idea for narrative control. And yeah, I guess you either love it or hate it, but I think it's a fantastic idea. The main thing is it's a really innovative, needed change, I think. Yeah. You're a big fan of Dungeon World? I haven't got any experience of Dungeon World. I've heard of it. I've never read the rules or anything. The other thing I'm interested in is Dungeon Crawl Classics, but I don't like all the dice, and I don't like the fact that you have to reference the rule books for every single spell, because they're very complicated. So yeah, I like games where you don't have to pick up the rule book. You can just play. Based on Apocalypse World, but I've noticed the system doesn't get any love from most tabletop communities and creators. Any idea why? Not enough players, essentially. Yeah, I mean, YouTube channels don't exist on, like, as well. Maybe it would get a lot of love from somebody who's not trying to make money from YouTube, but unfortunately I am. It's my livelihood, so I have to follow the majority of the audience. And so the majority of the audience is going to be playing the new edition. The majority of the audience is going to be interested in lore and monsters of Greyhawk and stuff like that. So those are the topics and things that I will be covering, because, you know, that's where my bread is buttered, as people have said. That's what my golden goose is, as people told me when I boycotted Wizard of the Coast, and they all laughed at me, you know, my channel dying in front of their eyes. Thanks for all your help, by the way. Yeah, so I suffered for that. But now I'm back to making D&D content, and I, you know, you get flack for that too. It's like, oh, what about your boycott? The boycott was highly successful. All of the staff got fired. You're welcome. It's like, yeah. You've run what? I've run World of Dungeons for you before, which is a mini version of Dungeon World. Have you? Have you? Did you? I don't remember. Anyway, more likely at the moment, like at the moment, I would rather play Shadow Dark than D&D Basic. And I'd rather run Super Atomic than 5th edition D&D. But I'm biased because, you know, that's the game system I developed, and it's a lot of fun. It's a mini version of Dungeon World. Oh, okay. Oh, Jabba. Right. I wish people would just use their names. Plot twist. Good grief. So these are people like Jabba, that's his name on the Discord server. So I mean, he's in here as like Hayden, but yeah. Do I know, is that your real name now? Do I know your real name, Jabba? I'll never use it, I swear. Hey, morning, Nacho. Hey, Nacho, I just mentioned the podcast that we're doing. How it's awesome. And currently available to my patrons. Team Toad. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. You may see Jabba's got a toad symbol there, and the reason why the toad symbol is on the thumbnail for this live stream. Kind of a joke thing, an in-joke on the Discord server. There's people who are very anti 5th edition and anti the new edition, and there's me and a bunch of others who are like pro the new edition and willing to give it a shot. And so we're Team Toad. The other team doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a mascot because, you know, because it's my server. What can I say? Hey, Lucas. Good to see you again, AJ. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen you live. How have you been? Terrible. My health has been awful. I have to get all my teeth ripped out. It's finally coming right. If I can survive the next month or so, I'll be good for years. How many dice do I have? Jeez. I have no idea. I've got so many dice, I've lost count. I've got dice in storage boxes that I haven't opened in years. Like, I get sent dice sets and stuff. And whenever I'm at a convention or something, generally I'm giving away dice rather than buying them. If you survive till 6th edition starts dropping, you can do additions to your old vids that don't get views anymore and ride the 6th wave. Here's the thing, Christopher, and this is for just generally anybody and to understand what my channel's about. So you may notice that I don't do sponsored content. I'm never like, by the way, here's this VPN, or by the way, here's Squarespace, or here's Raid Shadow Legends. Never. The reason being is because those don't actually help me at all. I make my money through Google AdSense, which is basically sit on your bum and watch my videos and I get paid. Doesn't matter whether you're a YouTube subscriber or not. Like, not subscriber to my channel, but you pay for YouTube. If you pay for YouTube, it's the amount of time that you watch my video that I get paid a commensurate amount by. Or if you're a free person just watching the video, then it's the advertising. And hopefully I get paid whether your advertising is blocked by your ad blocker or not. Technically you were there and it should have played, so I should get paid. And that works out fairly well, because if you go back and watch my video on giants or dragons and stuff like that, the lore of them is evergreen. they call it. So it's just as applicable now as it was back then. There's very few things which have changed so drastically that I'd have to go back and change those videos. I will go back and remaster ones which I think I can do better, which I certainly can these days. And these days you'll see that my videos, particularly from now on, are going to seem much more cohesive and follow on from each other, because what I'm doing is I'm writing a novel video by video by video. So that will become clearer if you start watching them sequentially. Because I've got a lot of good positive feedback about incorporating the story aspect and the alter ego of the Sage of Candlekeep into the story. So I'm leaning into that because it's like a path forward to that novel that everybody has always wanted me to write. So I'm doing that now. I'm writing it. Also, what that means is my old videos, so I make just as much money from a video like the video on metallurgy or red dragons, or the video on Vecna, or the video on all of the deities of the faiths and clerics of the Forgotten Realms. That's a big ticket one. I make as much money per month from those old videos as I do from the new videos which I'm just making now. So YouTube was so interested in this mechanism of my channel that they offered to buy and pay for my back catalogue of all the videos and give me a big lump sum of money and buy them outright so that I wouldn't keep getting passive revenue from those old videos. And I went, no, never going to happen. Also, I calculated what they were offering, and it was like 10% of what those videos could potentially earn. So the more videos that I make, the bigger that back catalogue of videos that people go back and watch gets. So it allows me to, and that essentially is why my channel is a viable income. If I was just chasing next week's video and next week's video and next week's video, and that was the only income I had, then it would be like I would be getting maybe at least maybe a quarter of what I'm earning at the moment. So that's the way it is. So I'll never do sponsored content and stuff on the YouTube videos, but things like the podcast and stuff like that, yeah. So I'm now accepting sponsors for my podcast if anybody's watching this, but I'll never accept sponsorship for my videos and advertising included in my videos, because you got ad slots. That's what they're there for. Also, ad slots are better for YouTube's general creator community because it puts more power in the hands of creators rather than advertisers. And we remember all too well the adpocalypse where advertisers were dictating policy to YouTube, and YouTube had no option but to comply because they were stupid. And if I was YouTube, I would get rid of sponsored content entirely. So look, you can either have Google ads, AdSense ads, or you can do a sponsored bit slot in your video, but you can't do both. I think that would be reasonable. Yeah. But it's so ingrained in people that you do sponsored content on your videos. It's just it shouldn't be. Oh no, my channel is not going to disappear. I will literally keep making videos until you pry this keyboard out of my cold dead hands. By the way, brand new keyboard, finally. My old keyboard, I should frame it and put it on a wall. It's so like my old keyboard, the shift key had no symbol on it. These few keys overhead had no symbols. There was actually a rut in the a furrow in the shift key from my fingernail wearing into it, because you sort of tap it sideways and it had carved a little line. The space bar was completely smooth. And that keyboard I have no idea when I got it, was a Logitech keyboard. This is basically the exact same design, except it's the next generation, and it's got an off switch for some reason. The battery never runs out on these things. Yeah, a fantastic keyboard, and I really miss it. But unfortunately, there was an incident with a cat and a can of Red Bull, and it got soaked, and I tried to clean it, but there's this thing with Logitech keyboards, when you take them apart, they're really hard to put back together again because of the springy matte thingy, and it just didn't line up with some of the keys, and so I lost my space bar. And that was it, unfortunately. Well, I actually wanted Monster Energy drink to sponsor my videos at one point, because I thought that was appropriate. But they said, no, you're not an extreme sport, so it doesn't matter. I'm like, I make monster ecology videos. Your Monster Energy drink. How could that not line up? But apparently they've just like, sports, extreme sports. That's all they think about. It's like, no extreme sports person drinks your energy drink after they exercise. That would be stupid. First of all, it would put them to sleep because that much taurine is a sedative. But they've never figured that out. Keyboard mimic. Yes. I could. I mean, just for my own pleasure, because you'd never see my keyboard. I should actually just mimic the rest of the microphone, maybe, and probably my shelf. Do you think I should mimicarize my entire shelf? Turn it into some sort of far realm spawn thing? I can. Should I? Shall I do it? I'll do it. Offer to make a homebrew energy monster creature. That's a good idea, Dorse. That is a good idea. I have also offered to write the Fraggle Rock RPG, but I never heard back from them. But there has actually been, in 2022, there was a they did a, what do you call it when they redo a series? They did a second series of Fraggle Rock, 2 seasons of Fraggle Rock, believe it or not. Oh, that's also the thing that we've been steadily doing on my server is watching all of Fraggle Rock. There's 4 seasons of Fraggle Rock. I know far too much about Fraggle Rock. Don't even get me started. It's a lot more in-depth and deep than you think. Because it came from the mind. Pink slime energy drink? That's a good idea. Yeah, Jim Henson. Okay, genius. Workaholic. Worked himself to death. Just amazingly productive dude. Comes along once in a lifetime sort of thing. The mimic hat. That's an idea. Be uncomfortable though. So Jim Henson had this idea in a nutshell, very quickly. Let's make a kids cartoon, let's make a kids show that doesn't rely on guest stars coming in like the Muppets, because that was just an exhausting, the amount of work that went into those episodes. They had one day off a week. Sunday was his day off, and he was always sick on that day because his body just collapsed. So Jim Henson just worked himself to death like you wouldn't believe. Drastically affected his family life and everything, but he was just driven. And to be fair, his family have carried on his legacy and still are heavily involved in it. But sort of towards the end there, he decided to make Fraggle Rock. And Fraggle Rock is interesting in the way that it's different for different countries that view it. Like, most people are used to the American version of Fraggle Rock with the guy in his workshop and the dog. But if you watch the French version of Fraggle Rock, or the English version of Fraggle Rock, or the Czechoslovakian version of Fraggle Rock, those live person filmed sequences are in a different language with a different person and a different pet thingy. But the Fraggle bits are the same, and the Doozer bits are the same, and the Gorg bits are the same. But the person involved is local to whatever country that Fraggle Rock was screened in. The reason why Jim Henson did that is to show that the entire world, much like the Fraggle Rock world and the Gorg world and the Doozer world, are all interconnected. So you have episodes where the old man in the workshop shuts off the water supply, which shuts off the water supply for the pond that the Fraggles live in, which is the bottom of the well that the Gorgs feed all their turnips with. So he switches off that thing, and the entire Fraggle Rock world and Gorg world run dry. And it's like, they're all interconnected. They're all symbiotically connected. And the reason why he made that video, the show that way, is because he wanted to stop wars by promoting in children the idea that the whole world is connected, that every part affects every other part. He was trying to stop war with a TV show. That's genius. And he came up with this idea on a napkin. I've seen the actual napkin where he sketched the original design idea. Oh man, the guy was a genius. Slime should not get drank, especially if they are spawned from Jubilex or Guanadao. The latter was going to chest burst out of another player. That's an idea. A slime which deliberately tries to get drank so that it can eat your internal organs and then chest burst out of you is something else. What a great idea. Thanks. I'll be using that. Lucas, wanted to thank you. I joined your Discord channel and found some people that joined my D&D group, and they've been a great addition. Thanks for bringing people together. It's what I'm here for, man. Glad to hear it. Experiment with making my energy drink. I actually, I kind of did when I was a teenager. It was citric acid and something else. I mixed them together, sugar and citric acid, basically, and I made an energy drink out of that. I drank some awful things. I ate some awful food. What exactly is taurine? So, good question. Ask a biologist. So taurine is a naturally occurring substance that your body produces to relax your muscles after exercise. So essentially you don't cramp up and go into a rigor mortis because you're full of fatigue poisons and stuff like that. So it's a relaxant more than anything. So what they did back in the early days when they were developing smart drinks, phenyl neutronics they called it, phenylalanine, which is a amino acid, and they use it as a sweetness enhancer. So what it does is it tricks your brain into thinking something sweet that is not really that sweet. And these energy drinks are generally packed with them. That's why they say, don't drink more than one of these a day. Actually, has this got it in it? Nicotinamide. Oh, it doesn't. I don't think it's got it. Red Bull. No, it doesn't. So I guess it's just got sugar. Sugar is 51 grams. Yeah. So the reason why they say don't drink more than one of these days is like the amount of caffeine in there. But if you drink too much taurine and you haven't engaged in heavy exercise or anything like that, it will put you to sleep. So an energy drink, ironically, will wind you up with caffeine, but also put you to sleep at the same time. V is a particular nasty one for that, but Red Bull has got tons and tons of, like Bull, taurine. So what they did was they analyzed people who had just done exercise and they went, oh, your body's like needs taurine, or it's flushed with taurine, or taurine's involved. They didn't really know what taurine did, but they packed it into energy drinks thinking, oh, that's what athletes need. They need replacements for their taurine. Like, no. So yeah, a proper energy drink like Gatorade or stuff like that doesn't have taurine in it. That's what you drink if you're recovering from exercise or drinking heavily. But taurine is not the way to go. Yes, I've been watching Delicious in Dungeon. I enjoy it. Particularly the depiction of dwarven attire. A bit spicy. I never thought I needed to like see an upskirt of a dwarf, but apparently somebody did. Cats need taurine. Yeah, well, they're abject carnivores, so they eat a lot of meat. Taurine is generally found in meat. Powdered caffeine is very cheap and easy to get, but also easy to take too much and cause cardiac issues. Yeah, like coffee is the strength of caffeine that you need. You don't need anything stronger than coffee, really. Punk Slime energy drink is a way for lazy nobles to get cardio exercise by running from monsters. Yeah. Oh, like an energy drink for mages that restores a first level spell slot. But it's like you can only drink 1 can a day. Or what? Bad things involving tentacles and eyeballs. Punk Slime energy drink. Would I allow my players to eat monsters? Of course. I'm never going to restrict my players' activities. They can do whatever they want. That's the way that role-playing games go. I'm not going to sugarcoat the after effect of trying to eat like Mind Flayer flesh or something like that. No, you're going to hallucinate horribly and die. It's alien. Are there plenty of conventions in my country? No, there aren't. You'd be lucky if there's one in a city that you're in, and it would be a small affair of like maybe 30 to 50 people for a city like Hamilton or something like that. Auckland has got like the Armageddon, which is kind of like our PAX, but it's a really commercial sort of thing. There's not a lot of support for like role-playing games and stuff. It's mainly just like geeky, cosplay and selling fake swords and plushy toys and t-shirts, that sort of thing. And of course, like that's the only opportunity you ever have to see stars of TV shows show up and get photographs and autographs with them. That's mainly what Armageddon's all about, I think. So that's where I met like some Doctor Who stars and stuff. God, Doctor Who's awful now, isn't it? I've been trying to watch Doctor Who, but oh man, they sure made it difficult. Yeah, if a dragon has paralyzing breath, they're just exhaling taurine. Yeah. Is there an official rule on eating monsters in the handbook? No, nothing specific. Yeah, it's not Doctor Who anymore. It's not like they lost the plot. They took the plot, they rubbed the plot in a pile of filth, then they rubbed it in everybody's faces, and then when everybody stopped watching because they told them to, they started bitching and complaining and going at the camera in an episode where they had the audience represented by a person with a complete bubble of social media around their face. Like, it was a bit on the nose. It's like, don't insult your audience and then blame us for your problems. It's like, you did this to yourself. I think the problem with Doctor Who really started with David Tennant. Like before then, stick with old man Doctor Who, because and here's the thing, like, yes, Doctor Who at the moment is LGBTQ plus positive, but when you think about it, the entire history of Doctor Who was a asexual icon, and they just killed it. They killed it. So screw you, LGBT plus, and your changing of Doctor Who to make it better. What about us, huh? I'm on the flag spectrum too, you pricks. Nobody ever thinks about the asexuals. But yeah, Doctor Who was great because he never got into romantic, things. He just had companions in his life and stuff, and he was an asexual icon. Thank you very much. And they just killed it. They killed him. Now it's just utter shit. So is it woke? No, it's not woke. Doctor Who was woke. Now it's not. It's crap. Also, happy Pride Month, everybody. Yeah, another person asking me about Delicious in Dungeon. Yes, I've been watching it. It's very good. Yeah, Baker, and, well, Pertwee is an egotistical guy, but he was a good doctor. He certainly did a lot to keep the series alive, and that was like when it was just like England. So he literally traveled around in his car, and yeah, he's just, yeah. He was a real, like, man, but also showed up to small towns in costume and talked with kids and stuff. Like, he was just a consummate performer, professional. And Wurzel Gummidge, oh man, don't even get me started on how weird that show was. Yeah, like, Doctor Who started getting weird when they had, like, all that fairy tale storylines and stuff with Jodie playing the Doctor. I mean, I didn't mind her playing the Doctor. She was fine. She was a bit skitty and all over the place. But the writing for those episodes was awful. Just terrible. Oh, try and eat a beholder. Their skin, their flesh is as hard as metal. So if you can tenderize a beholder, by all means, poison yourself trying to eat it, but don't even bother. It's like, it's not meat. Like, one of their eye stalks, for instance, you would have to get a sword and go, and you would have dents in your sword at the end of it. They are hard. Yeah, beholder tastes bad. Yeah, very bad. Has anybody ever tried to replace their eye with a beholder eye? Beholders are 10 feet across. Their eyes are like this big. So you'd have to replace your brain. Maybe if you're a giant, you could. That would be interesting. I mean, not for small humanoids, but for giants, yeah, maybe. Why not? You feel like Jodie got thrown off a glass cliff? Is that a saying? I'd rather have great writing and acting and everything else being poor. You're like, yeah, I mean, Disney's taken over and obviously the budget's higher so they can get more special effects and stuff, but like where's the oversight for the writing and stuff like that? Why did they bring back this guy who clearly like left Doctor Who for a reason? Are they trying to kill it? Like, were they really unhappy that Disney took over and so the writers and showrunners of the show are deliberately trying to tank it? Like, would they really do that? Because it seems like that's what they're doing. It's just like, it's deliberately bad. Wurzel Gummidge. Yeah, look it up. Wurzel. Worzel. There's been a remake recently of Wurzel Gummidge, which apparently was really creepy. But I mean, here's a scarecrow who could change his head for another head. It was always weird. And yeah, that was interesting because it has a New Zealand tie-in, Wurzel Gummidge, and it was very like popular on kids' TV back in the day. Well, kids' TV, we had like three TV channels. No, we had 2 TV channels. Thank you, Morgan. Mechanicus biologists will take the beholder transplant as a challenge. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, maybe Modron's. It's like, that odd Modron's eye looks funny. Duck! Run! They can only do one thing. Fire. Exterminate. Exterminate. Oh, man. Modrons in battle suits are Daleks. Ooh, what a great idea. Oh, you saw the new Wurzel Gummidge? Great. I don't think the writer's strike affected Hollywood in that way. Someone just goes, Godric the Grafted, and adds beholder parts to themselves. Yeah. Most strongly bonded proteins can be broken down via braising or slow cooking for a long time. Imagine a beholder would cook much the same, requiring long, slow base or smoking. Yeah, probably put it in like a slow cooker for a year. See how it goes. Add a bit of like black dragon acid. And then take the resulting pulp, throw it away, and then get the container, wash it out, and then cook something good in it. Wasn't that the witch from Return to Oz? I don't know. Anyway, it's time for me to go, pretty much. How long have we been streaming so far? A while. Yeah, started at 9. It's about 10 a.m. now. It's an hour. So, yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for all the super chats. They're going to help with my medical bills, that's for sure. Are Invincibles beholden to Primus, or are there some sort of divine enforcers? Inevitables are not related to Primus. They're more like an aspect of the plane of Mechanicus. So Mechanus has got like it's not all big cog worlds and stuff. There's different aspects to Mechanus. And it amazes me that I haven't made a video about Mechanus. I've made a video about Modrons, I'm pretty sure. But I should really make a video about Mechanus because it's one of my favorite planes. Yeah, pickle it in vinegar. Yeah, pickled beholder parts. Aren't beholders imaginary? Don't they disappear to the greater... no. That whole beholders being dreamed into existence things is really new lore. So we're still playing catch up with that. But yeah, they're not regular biological entities. They don't reproduce the same way and stuff. And yet you get great mother beholders and stuff like that who have offspring sort of thing. But it's all questionable. Velvet it with baking soda. Pretty sure beholder eye stalks are a food item in Baldur's Gate 3. Well, then it must be official. Yeah. Back to work. Have a good stream. Actually, I've just finished. I've got another video which I'm just in the editing phase now. So you're going to see that pretty soon. And that is on the Tlinkali, which are the scorpion folk. I had a video which featured the Tlinkali, which was my video on the lost temple of Sojanth. Yeah, Sojanth, apparently. And the Tlinkali. Horrible thing to pronounce 50 times in a video. But I also include some information on the false scorpions, giant false scorpions. There's a couple of different ones, the giant pedipalps, or the solifugid, and the Euraphion, which what is it called? Basically camel spiders and whip spiders. Whip scorpions and camel spiders, which are both, members of spider kind, whereas scorpions are not. So arachnids are classified differently on Faerun. Anyway, patron supporters will get the full stat blocks for the false spider and the false scorpion, the giant whip scorpion. The regular viewers will just get the information on the Tlinkali, and there's some commentary on them at the end of the video, but they don't get the stat blocks in the description. You have to go to Patreon to get that. So I think that's fair. You don't really miss out anything. And you could easily do it just using ChatGPT to make a stat block for you anyway. If you go to the Forgotten Realms wiki, there's all the information on those creatures anyway, and you just feed that into ChatGPT and it can make a stat block for you, which is arguably an easier way to do it. I just don't trust ChatGPT to get it right because I don't know what challenge rating chart they're using and stuff. So yeah, there's ways and means. The Chewinchta. Oh yeah, there's lots of really weird spider creatures that are included in spider kind. I talk about a number of them. The more intelligent ones like the Choldrith and the Arania and Driders and stuff are all spider kind. But there's really weird ones as well. Like there's this creature which is like all spider legs. It's just all spider legs. Really creepy looking thing. And there's also outer planes monsters and stuff which are spider kind, like the wolf spiders and things like that. Anyway, right, time to go. Catch you later, everybody.